What is happening, fishers? Dina from Untraceable Fishing here tonight, once again with
Jared from Bulawayo Fishing Tackle.
and welcome to
Tackle Tuesdays.
Tonight we're going to divulge into the world of the Assassin Horizon once again. We once said it was the best rock and surf rod in the world, and if you haven't seen that video, please check out the link above. So in that previous video, we had really not tested the rods, we really not fished them a bit. Andrew and myself have both converted. We both fish with the Horizons now. Andrew's got two of them, I have one of them. I've been fortunate enough to fish with a couple of different of the Horizons in the range. So Jared's just going to run through the quick. Horizon has grown since then. They didn't have all the models available back then that they do have now. So Jared's going to quickly run through all the models that are available for us.
So guys, first of all, we've got one of the newest in the market. It's the 13'6". The number 3 comes in a long butt and a short butt. We've got a 14-foot and 15-foot option in the number 4. We've got a 14-foot and 15-foot option in the number 5. There's a 14-foot and 15-foot option in the number 6. And then on Dean's side, we've got a 15-foot number 7, 15-foot number 8, and a 14-foot number 9.
So if those of you out there wondering, what is the 4? What is the 3? What is the 5? So the way Assassin have come up with the numbering system, instead of having a medium heavy or medium rod where it makes it a bit confusing because different manufacturers will have different weight ratings on the rod, they've made it very simple. They put a number on their rod. So Horizon number 3 is rated to throw anything between a 2 and 4 ounce sinker, 3 being optimal. If we go to the number 6, it's rated between throwing a 5 and a 7 ounce sinker, number 6 being optimal, and so it goes through the range. And when it comes to the Assassin Horizons, we're talking sinker weight. We're not talking bait and sinker weight. We're talking specifically sinker weight, so you can still put your bait on top of that. So these rods can definitely throw above the class they say they can. One thing we're just going to run through, I'm not going to get too technical on the Horizons. Obviously, they come with top spec Fuji winds that come fitted with a bionic finger. They do run the Fuji K series, SRC or SICK guides. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's pretty much the top of the range, most premium Fuji K series guide you can get. Other than that, we're not going to go into what carbon they're made out of because I have no clue what the guys are doing in the Horizon factory. They're not going to really say it. They've got some clever marketing things. HMC4, Nano Hex 8 architecture. What all of that means, I don't actually know. We'll leave that to the experts so I don't get it wrong. Now, the Horizon has an extensive range of rods. They pretty much cater anything from catching a bluefish or galjoen up to catching the biggest and baddest flatfish and the biggest and baddest sharks in the sea out there. So if you are looking at buying a Horizon, you're probably thinking to yourself, now which Horizon should I buy? So now there are a lot of different models available out there. Obviously, Jared, the models to the left, we're pretty much looking at you can check over there.
So the models to the left, the number 3, the number 4, and the number 5 on this side. So the number 3 is sort of the lightest sort of scratching fishing that you'd be doing. The number 4 would be a bit heavier than that. So that's still doing your bluefish fishing and blacktail and galjoen, but it's getting into your lighter side of also your your surf fishing. So fishing for a cob or a pig nose or something like that, a fish in that sort of range. The number 5 is just one up on that, sort of the rod that you look at if you then want to actively go and target majority of your cob, your pig nose, garrick, those sort of edible species.
Okay, then we move on to number 6, guys. We got it in the middle because in my eyes, maybe not what Assassin says, but this is pretty much to me the crossover rod. So if you want to be targeting your bigger edibles and your smaller non-edibles, listen, you can pull some big non-edibles on this thing, don't get me wrong, but that's the type of rod you'll start looking at. And then on the right hand side, we start looking at specifically non-edible rods. I use my number 7 for black stemras and silvers and things like that, even though it is number 7 quite heavy, but I don't like to play around.
Just a bit more pulling power than others.
So these are pretty much your non-edible rods. So I'm going to start off with the edible rods, what I call the edible rods, the number 3, number 4, number 5. Which rod would I buy? So if I'm the guy that, obviously the number 3 comes in a long butt and short butt version. The long butt version predominantly for lure fishing. If I was targeting cob, obviously throwing plugs, and I wanted a little bit of a longer rod to reach those further banks as opposed to throwing 11 foot, it's a rod I definitely look at. Flipping costs a mile, that rod. It's hands down costs further than any 11 or 12 foot rod out there. The short butt version, as Jared said, a nice scratching rod. If I was targeting some bluefish, some called yun, some zebras, some blacktails. That's would be my perfect choice of rod. The nice thing about it, that number 3 has got a lot of backbone for a light rod. If that silver or black stemmer does come along, you're not going to be outgunned.
Yeah, you got enough power.
Yeah. So on a recent trip a couple of weeks ago, we actually had one of Moria's customers that Andrew and I took out fishing, and he showed us pictures of a 70-kilo bronzy that he got on his number 3 and a video. So it's quite an impressive for a light rod like that.
Okay.
It can pull some big fish. And then when would I use number 4? Number 4 for me is the perfect cob rod in the world. If I'm throwing baits for cob, squid baits and a catfish leg in that as a bait rod, I think it'll be the perfect choice. That's what I'd pick a number 4 for. The number 5, I would think, is a very good all-round edible rod. If I want to start targeting cob, throwing bait and live baits, that'll be my specific choice. If I'm fishing, specifically targeting a bigger cob where I want to throw a nice 20-centimeter mullet, number 5 is what I'd go for. Or an all-round rod where I want to target cob, silver stem wrasse, black stem wrasse. Going on to the number 6 in the middle, because I think that might be my next rod. Even I've got a number 7 currently. I'm still in 2 minds, either go for a number 6 or number 5. Number 6, I think, is my choice if I'm specifically targeting black stem wrasse, silver stem wrasse, and I enjoy the 1 or 2 smooth hounds or spotted gully sharks out there. So that'll be definitely sharp-toothed hound sharks. So that'll be my specific choice. And if a raggy or some bigger thing does come along, I know I've got plenty pulling power. Moving on from there to the number 7, the rod I fish with 90% of the time. My favorite of the lot, probably because the one I fish with. Fantastic rod. Starting to move on to catching larger edibles. Nice thing I like about the number 7, the tip's still soft enough. If you do get a spotted gully, you still have a bit of fun with the fish. But has a crazy amount of pulling power. I can't pull that rod as hard as it can actually be pulled, and it's quite an easy rod to cast. The number 8, absolute beast of a rod, guys. When you step from a number 7 to number 8, the difference in action on the rod is quite. There's a big difference, guys. The number 8 is an absolute machine of a rod. I think the number 7 is a bit easier to cast. Maybe for a small guy like me, I'll battle to load the 8. My technique might be right. I might need to just try that a bit more. It's nothing to do with the rod. I think it's more to do with the angler. But the number 8, the pulling power on that is absolutely insane. The number 9, I have not fished with yet, so I can't say too much about the number 9. I know the number 9 is specifically for the guys that are looking for big black rays, big bronzies, big grays off the bricks, where they want that little bit of a shorter rod, where they can put a bit more effort into the pull. It's not going to be the best casting rod. I think it might be a bit of a backbreaker. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a bit hard on the lower back when you're fighting a fish.
The number 9s, I've sold a couple of them in the shop. So when the drone fishing was still around, the guys used them for that purpose. Another mate of mine actually uses them when he's putting up a cart, or if you're going to do a swim bait or something like that. So the number 9, as Dean said, would be the rod targeting the biggest of non-heads as what you can catch here in the country.
So the number 9, as I say, it's not going to be the best casting rod out there. But when you are fishing for big black rays and things like that, especially in the P area, they've got really deep water close in some of the points in St. Francis and things like that, where you don't need to throw a mile. But when you need that extra pulling power, it is definitely there. So I've run through the full range of an Assassin, the Horizons. They pretty much have a rod to cover every facet of rock and surf fishing in the country. To buy 1 is probably the way forward. To buy 2 is probably the answer. So I don't know. I know Andrew's currently got a number 8 and number 5. It's a beautiful mix. I've got a number 7. I'm still in 2 terms. Do I go for number 5 or number 6? Problem is, if I get number 6, then I need to end up buying a number 4. So I'm just trying to think about
what to do first.
Where you start drawing the line here, guys. Not the cheapest rods on the market. Pretty much the top tier of where rods come price-wise, and the top tier of quality. Besides all the sales and marketing sides behind it, why do I like an Horizon? As I said it before, we reviewed the Assassin Affinities a couple of weeks ago. I fished a lot of rods through my life. I've been fortunate to fish a lot of rods. I own a decent amount of rods at the moment. The Horizon is pretty much one of the only rods out there that actually works for you while you're fishing. I don't know how to put it in other words. With other rods, you can pull, the rod pulls, yes. It pulls with you. The Horizon, when you're pulling, the rod actually assists you. I can get into a full pull on the rod and put as much effort as I can in. After that rod's bent over and stuff, the rod still has that backbone, which is actually A lot of guys, let me get this right quickly. I'm talking in circles here. A lot of guys think that a backbone of a rod is when you pull the rod and it's stiff. That's not the backbone of a rod, guys. Every rod when you pull is going to lock out at some stage and it's going to stop there. That's not the backbone. You guys have got it wrong. A lot of guys will walk into the shop, they'll pick up a 800 Rand rod and go, oh, this rod's got lots of backbone. No, that rod doesn't have backbone. All it does is that means that carbon is flexed out to the most and it's stuck in the place. And it's backbone is when you pull up a rod and when it's at its much power you can put into the rod and you pull and then the rod still has the ability to correct itself into the back position like that. That's what a backbone of a rod is. The ability for that rod to put itself into its natural position once it's got pressure on it. So that's the way you need to look at it. And I think the Horizons are one of the only rods in the market that do that. Your top tier rods should be doing that. That's what you're paying for. They get into that position a bit quicker than what the other rods do, and with a bit more ease, you get a bit of a flow from the tip of the rod down through into the butt. It's not just the tip of the rod doing that. You actually get the coming down.
Sort of a parabolic bend, the guys call it.
Exactly what they call it. I was looking for that word. Thank you, Jared. And you've got no hot spots. So when the rod's not coming up, it's not getting to a place and sticking and then moving on to the next one in stages. You're getting a nice flow through the rod like that. Nice and smooth action.
Almost works the fish for you without having to put it to break your back to pull a fish.
Exactly the way to look at it, guys. So that is the one thing nice thing about the Horizon. The Horizon, the first time I picked it up, I can't say the first 10 casts I enjoyed casting the rod. Didn't enjoy it at all. But I can say that after those 10 casts, 15 casts, 20 casts, the rod casts for you. It just is a total different action to all the other rods I fished with. The rod's going to assist you in casting. They're not called an Horizon just for sales and marketing terms. They absolutely cast miles, guys. Not that you have to cast miles, but they do cast them out there. Other than a fantastic rod, super strong. There's no ways you're going to pull and break, snap this thing in a hurry, unless you're making some mistakes or have cracked your rod and things like that. And then just before closing up, there's a whole lot of DNA braid in the front of the table here. So for the guys that just want a bit more detail in the rod, number 9, you're pretty much the guys going to be fishing 80 to 100 pounds. You're going to be fishing very heavy stuff on 8 to number 9. And number 8, anywhere from 50 to 80 pounds, depending on your target species. And number 7, 40 to 65 pound. And number 6, I'd say anywhere between, depending on what you're fishing for, 30 to 50 pound. I'd fish on number 6. And number 5, I'd fish anywhere between 20 and 40 pound. The number 4, I'd predominantly fish with 20 or 30 pound. The number 3, I'd predominantly fish anywhere between 30 and 15 pound. Anyway, that gives you a quick breakdown of the Assassin Horizon range. Do check them out when you're in any of the stores in South Africa. Pick them up, have a feel. I can promise you fish in the Horizon, you're not going to want to fish with anything ever else again. I know there's most of the speaking tonight, but Jared, thanks very much for joining me once again.
Always a pleasure.
So until next week, guys,
Cheers.